Way up north is a shop that is taking old coupes, sedans, and trucks and making them haul. Let's get an inside look at American Gasser. Welcome to Dream Rides from the American Gasser Open House and Car Show in Saginaw, Michigan. Let's start out by looking into a Ford that has some memories and style.
It's a Ford 1928 Model A. My grandpa built it from the top down. He died when he was 74, and I ended up inheriting the car. It was a 3-year process working on the car, and I've had the car for a couple of years, been to a couple car shows with it. In the RV park he owned, there was a tree, he cut it down, planed it, and sent it off to a guy, and he hand-carved an eagle with stars and stripes, and hand-punched everything out, bore-holed it out so you can see the speedometer, the gas gauges, everything, you know. It was a lot of work. It was all original parts, except for a few parts that are fiberglass. It was kind of tough, you know, getting original parts from 1928. So it was a little bit of work putting all the parts together. My grandpa had won several awards with the car. It was his pride working on the car, and it's my pride having the car, being a connection to my late grandfather.
Let's take a closer look into the beginnings of American Gasser.
American Gasser started in 2008 in Litchfield, Ohio. In 2013, we moved the operation from Ohio to Michigan to this current 15,000 square foot operation. And our product line at that time was 1940-41 Willys, and which when we moved into this expanded facility, we elected to increase our product line to basically provide services to anybody with a hot rod or wanted a hot rod built. My dad took me to a lot of drag races, and I enjoyed watching some of the Gassers run. Gassers were actually pre-era to me, but my father introduced me to a few of them. I did see a few run. And then as I started to look into the hot rod market and what was growing, the Gassers were growing. So in 2008, I said, let's pursue these Gassers and see what we can do with these things.
Up next is a pickup that was built as a family affair.
It's a 1939 Ford half-ton. I've owned it for 30 years, and my sons and I have built the truck. Very little of the truck is left from original. The cab and a few parts, hood and stuff are original, but a lot of it has been bought out of state and throughout the country. So it's kind of a known truck for not being something only a mother could love. The pickup bed came from Mack. I don't remember where they're from, but back then, without the computer, I bought it through Hemmings Motor News. I contacted Mack, had it shipped in. My wife said that was the most expensive piece, and I said, because you bought the biggest piece. So we still laugh about it. I have something to do every day on it. I mean, we have different ideas, and I didn't display some of the things today that are actually on the truck. And my son is good at coming up with ideas, knowing it's going to be his truck when I'm done. So we just enjoy it. It's a family thing.
There is always a great story behind the beginning of a company.
I started with the guy he bought the company from. On day 4, he tells me, "You're going with John. I think you guys will work great together." So off we go. And we moved the shop a couple miles down the road to another building and just got started. And took what John bought and improved on it, made it better. His passion for hot rods I just fed off of it. So I already had fabrication skills. I knew what was right and wrong, and we just fixed everything and made it right.
Class, style, excellence, and speed, this next car has all three.
Well, it's a 1932 Ford 3-window coupe. I started it about 8.5 years ago, and I built the frame myself. I did everything except the paint and upholstery myself. The hardest part, probably filling the roof in. That took me the longest time to get it right. So, but all the doors been welded on so that the gaps are good. I've been in the car since I've been 16 years old. My first car was a 32 Ford three-window coupe, but it was chopped and channeled, and I sat on the floor and grinned all the time when I drove it. But I wanted to build something that I could drive and relax and be comfortable in. I drove from Flint, Michigan up to here to Saginaw this morning. Well, they make noise. They aren't like a new car or anything. They make noise and they rattle, and you're always saying, what noise is that or what is that, you know? So, but that's just the fun of it. It's done. It's finished.
Coming up, after the break, we check out a couple quick and classy coupes from the 40s and learn more about the process at American Gasser. Stay with us. Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Evapo Rust, super safe rust remover. Brothers Truck Parts, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation. Welcome back to Dream Rides from Saginaw, Michigan. There's a great crowd here today, and we're learning more about American Gasser and their open house and car show.
We started the open house our very first spring. We were here 2013. The whole idea and premise around having an open house is to show everyone what we do. We hear a lot of the local people drive by and go, what on earth happens at that shop? But when we have these open houses, it gives a general audience a chance to come in, see what we do, see what these cars are all about, see the quality of work we do, and walk away from here literally amazed at what they've seen.
Next is a Blue Beauty with a beast underneath.
Well, it's a 1941 Willys. I call it a pro gasser because I'm an old-time hot rodder, and I love the old Willys from the 1950s. I remember Stone Woods and Cook and all those cars, and I loved them from that era. Of course, back then I was in high school, couldn't afford anything like this. So over the years, you learn a lot about cars. Matter of fact, I've got my first hot rod magazine that I bought in 1953. Decided to do this car a couple years ago and basically designed the car to be a little bit gasser, a little bit pro touring, and just a little bit hot rod, you know, so I call it a pro gasser. We got a modern powertrain. It has a LS7, a GM Performance Parts Connect and Cruise package. So it's pretty modern, great highway car and faster than hell. I've only got about 2,300 miles on the car, so I want to put some miles on it this summer. It's, like I say, it's a very, very good highway car. You put it on the road at 70, 75 miles an hour, I mean, it tracks just like a Corvette. You wouldn't think so with the small tires on the front, the big tires on the back, but it does. So yeah, it gets a lot of attention.
Inside the garage is where the magic happens.
Well, on this side of the wall, I mean, we got anything from your street rod, pro street gasser to a solid axle race car that we're kind of turning back into a street car for the guy. Anything from, you know, we got a 64 Nova we're doing, 57 Bel Airs, a couple of them. We work on a little bit of everything. I mean, anything from, we got a 07 Mustang that we supercharged several years back, and now we're getting a short block built for it, good for 1,000 horse, and we're going to be putting it back together. Anything from EFI to dual carb mechanical injection. I mean, we work on a little bit of everything.
This next car will make you green with envy.
I have a 1941 Willys coupe. I got involved with John, I don't know, probably 7 years ago, starting to build cars with him. I went with a 509 big block Chevy. It's a dart block. I built everything myself. I did the whole motor myself. I pride myself in that. And the frame is a little bit thicker than normal, only because I knew what I was going to end up going to do with it. Going so fast, I did, you know, an 864 in it, and it's just super fast. The car is very simple, 9-inch rear end, Moser axles. It's just decked out with the cool stuff on the planet, and I have no problems with it. You know, the events that we go to where it's just gasser, they're small enough where you know everyone. It's not huge, you know, NHRA events. And it's just kind of simpler, and everyone loves it. I mean, you get a lot of attention with it. I mean, you can have it at a street car and everyone loves it. That's what I originally built it for, but then it just kind of escalated into something huge. And you know, now it's a super race car, and I don't drive it on the street, but it still has, you know, turn signals, headlights, and all that stuff. And it's just a super car.
Stay with us, because after the break, we check out a white pickup that won't fly south for the winter. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Dream Rides and the American Gasser Open House and Car Show. Each year, American Gasser has this amazing event that attracts cars of all types, including this beauty.
It's a 51 Mercury. When I was in high school, a buddy of mine had one, and he had a Pontiac motor in it, and I fell in love with the thing, and I decided I was going to have one when I was younger, or when I was young. And I bought it when I was younger, but I just now decided to work on it. I had a buddy that had a grill, and he wanted $450 for it, and I told him he was nuts. And so I went and got one that the guy gave me, and it cost me $450 to get it replated. Well, I chopped the top. I put a Lincoln Mark 8 dash in it. It's got air conditioning. It's got it's climate controlled air conditioning. It's got intermediate wipers. It's got cruise control. It's got everything a Lincoln would have. Narrowed the dash up 5 inches. The seats, we took the headrests off, and I had a guy recover the seats for me. Well, it took me about probably less than 6 months.
If you prefer a more personal shopping experience, look no further.
Front, we offer parts, anything you can buy online. It's nice to have. We don't have any local speed shops around here anymore. Somewhere you can buy parts. Since the internet kind of took over, they kind of went to the wayside. So we offer parts up front that people can come in, talk to us, talk to an expert, talk to Brian, and say, hey, is this part going to work for me, instead of clicking on something, hoping it's going to work, and getting it in, returning it, and all that stuff. So then come in here, talk to us, make sure that this part's going to work for them or not. And that's picking up more and more, where we get a lot more customers coming in and talking to us about their cars and their builds and looking for specific parts, and knowing that they're getting the right part the first time, and knowing that they can get their hot rod going as soon as possible with them.
This next white and blue truck is something out of a dream.
I have a 1953 Chevrolet pickup that my dad, Bill Waddell, bought new in 1953 in Flint. He took it home and he immediately chopped the top, pancaked the hood, raised the fenders, and took it to Autorama in 1955 and won first place pickup. It was his work truck. He would haul his race cars with it. That's why the spare tire is moved over to the left side so he could see his race cars behind him. But he would use this as his tow truck and his push truck. But as soon as his drag car was pushed off the track, he would run the truck down. He raced everything that he owned. It was named the Blue Goose back in the day. You know how they named all their cars and trucks. It was called the Blue Goose. So I designed a logo, and we kept the logo, and my interior is all blue, and my truck bed is blue. There's a lot of little don't worky things that have to, because it's so new. And we haven't had time to bring it back because we've had so many shows. We won Best of Show last weekend, and we're hoping for a lot more because it's like nothing people have seen before. It's so different. And then when I tell them that it was done in 1954, they can't believe that.
American Gasser will help you find the right part for your car.
And we also offer parts like nitrous, VP fuel, and that gets people through the doors, and as well as a bunch of other parts and accessories that you just can't really find locally.
When the customer comes in and sometimes they're looking for a specific part, whether it be a chassis part, engine part, whatever, a lot of the times that turns into a job or work for us because you know, they get to walk through the shop after they leave the showroom and see the quality of the work that goes on, and a lot of the times they're just kind of blown away. So they're, you know, why don't you just do it for me? And you know, it goes on from there. And then we build a relationship with the customer, and them are the people that come here for our open houses and happy customers, you know. So it goes a long way.
Next on Dream Rides, we check out some monster muscle from Michigan and GM. Don't go anywhere. Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. And by Z-Max, the one product for your engine, transmission, and fuel system. Welcome back to Saginaw, Michigan and Dream Rides. We've been at the shop all day and we've seen all over the store. Let's see what goes into the custom work at American Gasser.
In our fabrication shop, we're able to build full frames, modify frames extensively, set up any style of suspension that the customer may want. We also do a lot of panel replacement, where sometimes we have to actually fabricate the panel we're replacing because that panel is no longer available. From a fabrication standpoint, sometimes we have to get into custom frame rails where it's not just a straight section, but we've got to go to the computer, lay out the rail to get a laser burn out and put together a frame section. So our fabrication capabilities are pretty over the top, and the guys are very, very good in the shop of what they're putting together. Roll cages, we get into some round tube work and structural support as well. As far as the paint area goes, 2 spray baked paint booths. We also have our own mixing room. Exalta is our manufacturer of choice for the paint line. And again, full mixing capability, single stage paint, as well as base coat, clear coat. So we get into all kinds of applications in our paint process.
This next Impala is a throwback to a memory.
It's a 1962 Chevrolet Impala 409 engine. When I was 19, which was a few years ago, I had a car identical to this that I raced, and I managed to win my class, which was B stock, at the 63 NHRA Nationals in Indianapolis. This is not the original car. I searched to find a car, and I found one in Arizona. It was gray, 3-speed, 6-cylinder. And I bought that, had it shipped in. I had it for a few years before I got started on it, and gathering some parts and things that I was going to need, but we did a body-off restoration, complete top to bottom. So I pretty much reproduced what I had back when I was 19 years old. It's got several coats of the black and several coats of clear on top. But yeah, black is difficult, but again, I'm reproducing what I had when I was 19, and we didn't much care about that at 19. We cared about going fast, and the car just happened to be black. I'm not babying it. I don't believe in that. I do what I can do just driving it around on the street. I have not raced it yet, which I won't rule that out. I could still do that.
Our next car is a classic convertible with a color to match.
It's a 1964 Pontiac GTO convertible. It's a frame-off restoration. We bought it in 2006. It took me 4 years to get it done. And we've been driving it and going to car shows ever since. My dad was a Pontiac guy, and I always liked the Pontiacs. We had a 64 Catalina, and I'd seen a few of these around when I was in my teens. The neighbor had it up for sale. It's kind of a long story. The barn kind of fell on it a little bit and was messed up, so I bought it, had it restored, and it turned out really nice. It's got a Pontiac 400 in it. I have the 389 that came in the car at home in the barn. It's got a tri-power setup on it. They're not the easiest thing to tune. The car was dark blue with a black convertible top, black interior. And before we painted the car, I was in a car show in Vassar, and I We were deciding on red, but what shade we didn't know, and then I seen a Viper. That was it. In the sun, it's really a hot color. Oh, I drive it. The first 5 years that we had it, we did car shows every Saturday and Sunday, went all the cruises during the week. Now we're getting a little burnout on that. I don't like sitting all day long in a car show no more. Got other things I like to do. But as far as driving it, yeah, we just drive it. We don't baby the car.
And we've expanded way beyond the gasser situation. So when you look at gassers as a whole, what's nice is you not only do you building gassers that go down the drag strip, but you're also building gassers for the street. So you have a variety of gassers to begin with, but when you open it up beyond that, now you're looking at anything from anybody, and it's amazing the kind of cars that people are working on to put together. The spectrum's been very nice. The variety of cars that come in here have been wonderful to work on, and the opportunities that these customers have given us have been over the top to make them satisfied customers.
This orange beast is a blast from the past and couldn't be better.
69 Camaro Super Sport. I've owned this one for about 4.5 years. I bought it from a dealer down in Clarkston, Michigan that brings up southern auction cars. So what you're seeing there is 4 years in the making here. It's condition that I bought. It was a nice clean driver back in the day, but had a vision for taking it to different levels and stuff. So every year I would modify, do something. But where we're at right now, pretty much the entire car has been gone through from underside, trunk, interior, engine compartment, and of course the paint and body work. I'm a fan of 60s muscle. I had never owned a Camaro prior to it, but I fell in love with it. And of course, if any 69 was the year, I'm a first gen primarily. I love second generation too, but of first gen, 69 is my favorite. So like I say, that started out as it's nowhere near the condition it is now, but that's what got me into it.
Thanks for joining us on Dream Rides. As we wrap up this year's events, we've seen giants, Jeeps, muscle, and class. We've traveled across the country looking for the best and the loudest dream rides from across the land. It's been a fun ride, but it's time to say so long.